Welcome to the Jazz Piano School podcast, episode number 235. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. In this particular episode, one of our Jazz Piano School staff educators, Trent Bryden, is bringing you an episode on using exotic scales to solo and improvise over any chord. Really, really cool topic. I know you're going to love it. If you haven't done so, go to jazzpianoschool.com to check out all of our free education and information we have and get on our email list because we have a new really, really special product coming and being released on Black Friday of this year, 2021, called the Jazz Piano School Playbooks. Now, the playbooks are going to be on blues, solo piano, rhythm, improvisation, voicings, any and all category you could possibly want. And the purpose of them is going to be to allow you to make fast, easy progress and actually give you a playbook to really kind of dive into all these really hard to understand topics that we experience when learning jazz piano. So that's going to be awesome. I don't want to talk anymore. With that being said, let's dive right into this episode. Here we go.
What's up, guys? This is Trent with Jazz Piano School here, and today we're going to be talking about using scales to improvise over chords and progressions, but not in the way that you're probably used to. In jazz education, and specifically in Jazz Piano School, we learn what scales work over what chords. But I would just like to talk about the fact that you can use any scale over any chord as long as you do so melodically and in a way that makes sense to you. So today's lesson is going to be about taking these scales that have theoretically nothing to do with certain chords and progressions, but using these scales as launching points for creativity and using the constraints of notes that might not normally sound good to create lines that are unique sounding and that you might not come up with on your own. So I'm going to be talking about a scale that comes from a book by Yusef Lateef called The Repository of Scales and Melodic Patterns. And this is a book of all kinds of different scales and melodic possibilities that I've found really interesting. But this scale is it's called an Arabian scale, or there's 3 or 4 of these Arabian scales on this page, and this is just one of them. I can't remember the specific name. If anyone knows it, you can say it in the comments. But the scale goes like this. And your first thought might be, oh, that's just the G minor scale, and then the D half whole diminished scale stacked on top of it. So it's like the 5, 7, and the 1 combined into one scale. And, maybe you're right if that's how you think of it. And that's fine to think of it that way sometimes. But I want to challenge you to, when you practice these kind of exotic scales, not think of them in terms of things that you already know. Don't think of this as, oh, it's just A plus B, and I know that already, so I don't need to bother with this new scale because I know how it's made up. I want you to try to practice these scales, whether you're coming up with it yourself or whether you're getting it from a book. Practice these scales as things of themselves, as independent entities. And I don't even want you to take this through all the different keys. I just want you to take this set of notes, G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, and G flat or D sharp or F sharp, and take that through a tune that you're working on and figure out how to apply that scale over different chords and different progressions. I was doing this today over the tune Round Midnight, which I've been working on recently. So let me just play through Round Midnight and then show you how I'm working in this scale. So I'll stop when I get to the first point that I'm going to use it. here. So normally I just play something like, or, which is fine. That's like scale theory lines, with bebop kind of lines, which is cool. But what I want to do is now take this scale and apply it to this 2/5 going to A flat minor, specifically over this E flat 7 chord. Now in traditional scale theory, we know we could play a E flat mixolydian mode over this and it would sound good. So any note would sound good. Or whatever. But now let me play you what I came up with using this scale. So one more time. Slowly, it's I'm using all the notes of this scale, but I'm using it in a way that sounds melodic and makes sense. But you would not come up with this from playing the correct scales. You would not come up with it from playing approach notes. You would not come up with it maybe from anything other than this exact scale. And I'm all about finding new and unique ways to play things and breaking out of muscle memory and breaking out of patterns. And this is a really cool way to do it because it really forces you to kind of compose. Like there's only a certain amount of ways that these notes can sound good to you. And it's fun to find them. and I don't think I ever would have come up with that line if I hadn't been working through this book in this scale and put it through this tune. So I just think that's really cool. Here's another way you could play it when you're on the 2/5 A flat D flat 7 that goes back to the E flat minor. You could play so in context it's excuse me. And then you got to resolve it somehow. One more time. Right? So this, it's got some really interesting harmonic things going on. Like I'm playing basically a F major 6 chord over D flat 7. I'm playing the major 7 over a dominant chord, but because it comes from something, it sounds right, and it's put together in a way that sounds right. And I guarantee you, I nor you would never have just played this from thinking about playing 2/5 from A flat minor 7 to D flat 7. Right? So again, I find it so cool that you can take unrelated scales and they force you to come up with really cool kind of out-sounding lines that just make sense that you would not come up with otherwise. Here's one final example on the bridge. Here I'm doing it from this F7 to the B flat 7. And remember, my notes, these are my options. So I'm going to play. I think that was all of them. Yeah, it is. So. It's really cool. It's if you were to look at that theoretically, it would be starting on the 3rd of that F and then going up the B flat Mixolydian scale, but emphasizing that sharp 5. But that's not what I was thinking about. I was just looking at my palette of notes to choose from and coming up with this. This little phrase here. So my whole point showing you this is to kind of break you out of your box of just necessarily playing scales that are supposed to be related to the chords, even if that be like a fancy substitution, anything that has a theoretical reason for working. And I want you to take scales, kind of these exotic scales. You can find them in books. You can come up with them yourself. It could be hexatonic scales. It could be pentatonic scales. But find a way to make lines out of them over progressions that shouldn't make sense, but you make them make sense. And then you can reverse analyze it and figure out what's going on. And then you can use those concepts in a regular kind of theoretical setting where you know what you're doing. Like, for example, the start of this line right here, the first one that I showed you that goes... It starts going up a triad and lands on the sharp 9. So you can take that concept and practice it, going up a triad, landing on the sharp 9, and then going down kind of a diminished pattern that emphasizes the sharp 11. And then landing on the blue note or the sharp 4 of the resolving chord. So like you can extract those concepts from what you come up with, but don't do that first. First, just do what sounds good, and then extract concepts that you discover. If you haven't listened to my podcast yet, you know I'm all about exploring and finding these new ideas. So I really hope you find this interesting. I'm going to play all the way through it one more time using all of these examples, and then you guys can have fun practicing this idea. And again, the book that this scale comes from is Yusef Lateef's repository of scales and musical patterns, or something like that. All right, here we go. All right, there you go. Have fun exploring these concepts, discovering your own scales, someone else's scales, but using them in ways that you've never used them before. All right, happy practicing.